through this initiative, and this initiative came in cooperation with Ominvest. He's actually a strategic partner in many of our initiatives, and at the same time, more office, which actually played very good role in preparing and presenting this program. Today, the subject for today will be about the steps to be undertaken and the key action that should be focused on by the small enterprises. This is very important session and comes as the last of the series, which is the fifth one. We had already five of them within this initiative. There's no doubt all the sessions that we have seen already are very important and have explained many issues that are of interest to enterprises, especially the small one, to fulfill the obligation of the VAT. The first one focused on registration and how to register. The second one was about the basic concepts and tax impacts on main transactions. The third one was explanation about compliance with the VAT requirements, and the fourth one discussed the main issues related to the tax. Today we'll be closing this series, and I believe that having these five sessions that have covered all aspects of VAT, we hope that participants, whether are SMEs or others that have benefited from these sessions, and these sessions are documented, as you know, on the website of Zubair Center. So members of the Zubair can actually benefit from it by the recorder or through the booklets that will explain how to use and document actually the VAT. Again, I would like to take the opportunity to thank first my colleagues at the center who have played a major role in presenting this initiative, and also would like to thank our strategic partner, Ominvest, for their continuous support for us in many initiatives. And there's no doubt also, especially Mr. Jandra and Mr. Antar, who have actually really played a very good role in preparing the content and implementing the program. In short, I wanted to have this humble participation in this here as considering as the last session, wishing you all best of luck and good success, and to continue with such initiatives for the support of the SMEs in Oman. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
شكرا استاذ سعيد. ما
Thank you,
قصرت
Mr. Saeed. Thank you very much. And
بس إضافة على
just
كلمة
like allow me to
أستاذ
add
سعيد ما قصر غطى
what
يعني
you have said.
نقاط
Actually, you covered all the parties.
عندنا خلف
I just want to
الكواليس
add behind the scene, we have
عندنا
Tony in interpretation.
إنسالة نحن
We always
نحاول
forget about him because he's always behind the scene. I would like to also
أستاذ
give
توني
him some thanks to
نرحب
Tony for
بجميع
this
المتفاعلين
interpretation
في جميع
and
الحلقات
all the previous
وأشكرهم
session, and especially for today, of course. Yeah, thank you.
عشان بعد ما نطول
Let's not take a longer time. I
ناخذ من
Not
وقتكم
to take much of your time, of course. Let's get straight into today's session. As I've mentioned, as Mr. Said mentioned, it's very important because will get us on the right path for the practical steps,
الاكشن ستيبس
the action steps we call it now,
طبعا هي جدا مهم
and they're very important. And
يكون عندكم
it
استفسارات
will,
اي ضيفه
of course, you'll have inquiries,
توضح هذه
and this is an opportunity for explaining all your
يعني
inquiries
من اجل تحول خلينا
in
نقول
order
الى
to,
مؤسسات
let's
متخصصه
say, easy transformations consistent with the
ومنهجيه
VAT
وتكون هذه
environment.
الجلسه
And I hope that everybody will be
تكون
focusing in this session, let's say, to
ممكن
get benefit as much as possible and
اسئله
Definitely, you will have many questions today, and all will be answered at the end of the session. So for you not to forget your questions, you can always send it straight away on the chat. So will we take it into consideration, and we can answer it later on at the end. We can collect it later on, and will be answered. Or we can open the mic for you at the last half an hour of the session. If you want to ask question or something, also you can. At the end of the half hour, will be you can use just raise your hand that you have it there in Zoom, and we'll open the mic for you the question.
طبعا نحب نذكركم بعد بالنسبه اللي فاتت الحلقات الماضيه ان يقدر يرجع
As you have
لها
seen, as you heard, the other previous sessions are all recorded on the
موقع
website. Just go to Zubair SIC website, and you will have the website also, and the link will be in the chat
حاطين
later
لها
on.
طبعا
And
عنوان خاص او صفحه خاصه
we have a special
وفي
page for the VAT, and all related aspect will be there on the website.
طبعا مثل الجلسات الماضيه
Just
متحمسين
like
راح
previously,
تكونوا
also the speakers will be speaking in English, and of course, interpretation is available for Arabic
لما تضغطون
for
على
whoever
علامه
wants to just click on the interpretation
عندكم
that you have in front of you in the option. And you can select, as usual, Korean, which will give you Arabic, which is basically
نستخدمها
built in to use it for now to go to a channel for the
العربيه
Arabic language.
واما الحين
And
خلونا
now let me invite Mr. Ankur
نبدا
to
المحاضره
start the presentation,
من الوقت
and let's benefit from our time.
واي ملاحظات
And any remarks or anything on the chat, please write it
نبدا
down through the time. Thank
مستر
you.
انكر بليز
Mr. Ankur, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Anil, and thank you, sir, for your kind introduction. So I'll just share my screen. I hope the screen is visible. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for joining this webinar. So we all know that we have been conducting a series of webinar focusing on the key aspects relating to the Oman VAT legislation. We all know that the VAT has been implemented in Sultanate of Oman from 16th April 2021. And in the previous webinars, we have been talking about some important aspects relating to the registrations, when you have to take the registration, what are the transactions which are subject to 5%, 0% exemption. We have also talked about when you can claim the input tax credit for your expenses. And we've also talked about what are the VAT implications on import of goods as well as services. So hope you would have got a fair idea in terms of the VAT concepts and the key aspects which the business should keep in mind. Now in today's webinar, we are going to focus about the transition issues, and we have a separate section in terms of providing and handholding to the businesses that what are the key action steps which businesses needs to be taken, and probably it's a kind of a quick snapshot or a summary of the earlier webinars highlighting the important aspects which businesses should take into consideration while moving towards the VAT implementation regime. Now, starting with the key transition issues, we have divided the presentation into two sections. The first section, we are going to talk about what are the transitional issues. So in this case, we are to first explain that what are the transitional transactions, how does this impact your business, what are the implications, and we're also going to talk about how does the contract clauses with your customers would have a significant role to play from a VAT standpoint. And we'll also suggest that what are the other contract clauses we should incorporate in the contract with the customers just to safeguard the interest of the businesses. And in the second, we are going to talk about what are the action steps or a kind of a quick summary of the earlier webinars, real action steps which the business should keep in mind while obtaining the VAT registration, and thereafter, once they have obtained the VAT registration. So moving ahead to the first important section relating to the transitional provisions, what are the implications on each of the transactions specifically related to the transitional point of view? Now, first of all, it's very important to understand what are transitional transactions. Now, transactions, it's important to know that first of all, The entire concept or the fundamental aspect relating to the VAT is that VAT is applicable on supply of goods and services. Whenever I supply any goods and services, I am liable to pay VAT. In all circumstances, it is the responsibility of the supplier or the person who is supplying the goods and services, he is liable to pay the VAT. But there are certain exceptional circumstances, like when you import the goods and services, there the liability shift from the supplier to the importer or the recipient of those goods and services. So first important aspect is that tax is always applicable on supply of goods as well as supply of services. Now in business transactions, there are multiple events relating to a transaction. So you sign a contract with the customer or you get a purchase order from your customer. Once you get a purchase order from the customer, you process the order, then you raise the invoice or you deliver the goods to the customer, and thereafter you raise the invoice and get the payment. So there are different sorts of events which happen in a single transaction, right from signing of the contract till the time your services gets completed and you receive the payment from the customer. Now from a VAT standpoint, these are some of the examples relating to the transitional transactions. Now, in any business transaction, as I mentioned that there are multiple events, and in any business transaction, if some of the events happen prior to implementation of VAT and some events happen after implementation of VAT, so such transactions are called transitional transactions. So these are some of the examples of transitional transactions. First, suppose if I take an example, there are certain goods which are delivered to the customer prior to 16th of April 2021. But for this transaction, the invoicing and payment is happening post 16th April 2021. So as a parent from this transaction, one of the event, that is delivery of the goods, is happening prior to 16th of April, and part of the event, that is invoicing and payment, is happening post 16th April 2021. Sorry. Now, second category of transaction, you receive some advance payment from the customer prior to implementation of VAT, but delivery of the goods is happening post 16th April 2021. Similarly, there can be other category, like there's a contract with the customer. There are certain services which are delivered prior to implementation or certain services post implementation. Another example could be that you have already sold your goods to the customer prior to 16th of April, but the goods are being returned by the customer on account of damage or on account of quality issues, on account of any reason. The goods are returned by the customer after 16th of April. So you would get an idea that in all these examples which I've taken, one event or portion of the event relating to a business transaction is happening prior to implementation of VAT, and some of the events are happening post implementation of VAT. So therefore, these transactions are called transitional transaction, and we are going to talk about the VAT implications relating to these kind of transactions. Now, for such transactions, as we all know, that since portion is prior to implementation and portion of the event is past implementation of VAT, so therefore, any businesses have to be very careful while analyzing the VAT implications of such transactions, because we need to keep the fundamental concept of VAT in mind, that VAT is applicable on supply of goods and services. So as I mentioned in my first bullet itself, the taxable event is supply of goods and services. Now moving ahead to the date of supply. Now in earlier webinars, we have discussed in detail what is the concept of date of supply and what is the date of supply for different categories or different nature of transactions separately for goods as well as services. Now in transitional transactions, it would be very difficult, or there are a lot of complications relating to determining the date of supply. And once we are able to determine the date of supply, only then we will arrive at a conclusion as to whether VAT is applicable or not. Therefore, for such kind of transactions, first of all, we have to be very cautious of the fact that when is the taxable event happening, whether prior to implementation of VAT or post implementation of VAT. Now, date of supply provisions are very important. Why? Because it determines two important elements in a transaction. The first important aspect which date of supply determines is at what point in time we have to pay the VAT. When does my liability triggers to pay the VAT to the tax authorities? And second important aspect which the date of supply provisions clarify is at what point in time I have to report a specific transaction in my VAT return. So both concepts are very important. First of all, at what point in time I'm required to pay the tax to the tax authorities? And secondly, when I'm supposed to report that turnover in the VAT return. Now, under transitional provisions, this is very important. Now, in transitional provision, there is a specific aspect relating to the applicability of VAT on transitional transactions. What does that provision says is that during the time when the VAT is being implemented, so it does not matter when you are raising the invoice and it does not matter when you are getting the payment. Both these concepts are not relevant. So it simply says that irrespective of the fact when the date of invoice or receipt of payment is, VAT would always be applicable if you are delivering the goods to the customer or you are completing an activity after implementation of VAT. A very important thing. Just to summarize again what the provision says, that it does not matter when you are raising the invoice, it does not matter when you are getting the payment from the customer. Both these events are not relevant for determining the VAT implications. What is most relevant or the most important element for a transaction to determine the VAT implication is that at what point in time you are delivering the goods to the customer and at what point in time the services are getting completed or services are getting delivered to your customer. These are the important events to determine the taxability. And in the subsequent slides, we have taken some examples to clearly elaborate what does this provision imply. Now, in case of ongoing contracts, now you must have signed some contract with the customer, suppose in the month of March 2021, you started providing the services to your customer. But it may happen that you have to provide the services under the contract for a period of 1 year. So in such scenario, some portion of the services would be delivered prior to 16th of April and some portion of the services would be delivered after 16th of April. Why? Because your contract to provide the services is for a period of 1 year. Now, in such cases, we have to be very cautious of the fact that VAT would always be applicable only on that portion of the services which are delivered on and after 16th of April 2021. Only on that component or that portion of the services which are delivered on and after 16th of April. Now, in case of services, now we know that when I supply any goods to the customer, because goods are physical or tangible, it's easy to determine at what point in time the goods are delivered to the customer. You would be having a receipt or an acknowledgement that when, at which date the goods are getting delivered to the customer. But in case of services, because services are not tangible, these are intangible. When I provide a services, it's very difficult to determine at what point in time the services are getting delivered to the customer. Therefore, ideally, in case of delivery of services, it is established based on the completion certificate from the customer. So suppose if I'm constructing a building or providing an architect services to my customer, if the customer gives you a certificate that this portion or the component of services is completed and duly accepted by me by 10th of April, then that services are getting delivered prior to implementation of VAT. But if the customer gives you a completion certificate or gives a certificate, suppose in the month of May, that I now accept the services as completed, then the services are getting delivered on and after implementation of VAT. So why it is important to understand the delivery, at what point in time the goods and services are delivered? Because we mentioned that the provision of the law specifically mentions that VAT applicability on transitional transaction is dependent on the date when you deliver the goods to the customer, both for goods as well as services. Now moving ahead in terms of determining the date of supply for goods, and this we are talking about transitional transactions specifically. Now, in case of goods, there are two different kinds of scenarios which can happen. Now, in the first, on the left-hand side, suppose if I take an example that you have supplied the goods to the customer before 16th of April. So supply, what I mean is that you have supplied the goods to the customer and the customer has taken the delivery of those goods prior to 16th of April 2021. But in this case, the payment is received from the customer or the invoice is issued to the customer. Any of the events or both the events are happening after 16th of April 2021. So delivery happening prior to 16th of April, but payment and invoicing happen after 16th of April. Now in this case, the VAT would not be applicable. Again, going back to the fundamentals which we discussed in the preceding slide, that the date of payment and the date of invoice is not relevant. What is relevant is at what point in time you deliver the goods to the customer. So in this case, because the goods is delivered prior to 16th of April 2021, that is prior to introduction of VAT, therefore the VAT is not applicable on this transaction, even if you get the payment or you raise the invoice to the customer after 16th of April. Similarly, if we take another example, that I have received the payment from the customer and have also raised the invoice to the customer before 16th of April 2021. But I am delivering the goods to the customer after 16th of April 2021. Again, going back to the same concept, same fundamentals, what point in time the goods are getting delivered. If the delivery of the goods is happening after 16th of April, VAT is applicable. So in this transaction, as I mentioned, because of the fact that the delivery is happening after 16th of April, the VAT would get triggered. Again, the date of payment or receipt of payment from the customer or the date when you issue the invoice to the customer does not matter at all. Delivery happening after 16th of April, VAT is applicable. Now moving ahead to some of the examples. Now suppose I take an example. There is an automotive company who is delivering a car after 16th of April 2021. Now in this case, you've already made the payment to the automotive company in full prior to introduction of VAT. So suppose on 10th of April, you go to a car showroom, buy a car, the car distributor raises the invoice, you make the full payment to the car distributor on 10th of April. But the car is delivered at your premises on 16th of April or any time after 16th of April. So in this scenario, since the car is delivered post implementation of VAT, the VAT would be applicable on the total value. So it again does not matter at what point in time the payment is being made and at what point in time the invoice is being generated by the car distributor. Now in the same example, now suppose if the automotive company or the car dealer, he delivers the car before 16th of April. In such scenario, even if the payment is made or the invoice is being raised after 16th of April, it does not matter as long as the car is getting delivered post implementation of VAT. VAT should not be applicable if the car is delivered prior to 16th of April 2021. So the date of delivery is very important to determine at what point in time the liability to pay VAT would get triggered. The fundamental concept, or to summarize again, the principle which we need to keep in mind is that if the delivery of those goods is happening after implementation of VAT, then a 5% VAT is applicable. If the delivery of the goods is happening prior to implementation of VAT, then VAT is not applicable. Payment date, invoice date is not relevant for determining the taxability. Now, this was in context of goods. So quickly summarizing what we discussed in respect of goods, that if the consideration is received or the invoice is issued prior to 16th of April, but the goods are supplied on and after 16th of April, VAT would be applicable because if the delivery is happening after 16th of April, VAT gets triggered. If the supply is completed prior to 16th of April, that means the delivery is happening prior to 16th of April, invoicing and consideration after 16th of April, no VAT applicable because the event, the taxable event of delivery is already completed prior to 16th of April. In case there is any ongoing contracts, you are continuously supplying goods to the customer throughout the month or throughout the year. So whatever value of the goods or component of the goods which are already delivered to the customer, VAT would be applicable, VAT would not be applicable. And whatever is the component or the value of the goods which are delivered post 16th of April, VAT would be applicable. So delivery point is the most important to determine the taxability. Now moving ahead in the context of services, we discussed that date of delivery is relevant for determining the taxability. Now coming to services. Now in case of services also, it's important to determine at what point in time the services are getting delivered. The principle remains the same both for goods as well as for services. Now in case of services, the first we will discuss that you have provided the services to a customer before 16th of April, that is prior to introduction of VAT, but the payment is being received or the invoice is being issued after 16th of April. So the same principle which we discussed in the case of goods, VAT would not be applicable because the taxable event is when you supply the goods or supply the services, and if that event is happening prior to 16th of April, VAT is not applicable. Our second subset of the same category, you have received the payment from the customer and you have raised the invoice to the customer for services prior to 16th of April, before 16th of April, but the services are delivered to the customer after 16th of April 2021. So in such case, VAT would be applicable because the taxable event, which is the delivery of the services, is happening after 16th of April 2021. Now the third category in case of services is that suppose you are providing annual maintenance contract, AMC services. Now AMC services are provided throughout the year. So in such cases, if it's a continuous supply of services, you're providing the services throughout the year. In such cases, we have to split or segregate to determine what is the portion of the services which are completed prior to 16th of April and what is the portion of the services pertaining to the period after 16th of April. So on that portion which is pertaining to the period on and after 16th of April, that VAT would be applicable. And on that portion of services which are pertaining to the period prior to 16th of April, there would not be any VAT which would be applicable. Now coming to some examples specifically in the context of services. Now I take a simple example that there is a gymnasium who is selling membership to various people to come and become a member at the gym. Now in this case, they are offering a membership for a period of 12 months from 1st January till 31st of December. It's an annual membership to the gym. Now for that annual membership, you have paid OMR 200 to that gym supplier. Now in this case, the membership fee is paid fully in advance on 1st of January. But we know that because the membership is for a period of 12 months, I would be availing the services for the entire financial year or for entire 12 months period, although the payment for all those 12 months is made in advance. Now in such a scenario, now VAT would not be applicable for the services provided from 1st of January till 15th of April, and whatever is the value of services on and after 16th of April 2021, a 5% VAT would be applicable. So basically we need to split that whatever is the component of services prior to 16th of April and what is the component of services after 16th of April. So basically for 3.5 months, that is from 1st January till 15th of April, for 3.5 months membership fee, there is no VAT. And for the remaining 8.5 months, the VAT would be applicable. So you have to proportionately compute the value which would be subject to VAT and what value which would not be subject to VAT. So it has to be determined very consciously, specifically in the context of services. Now, in the context of services, just to summarize what we're trying to say, and as we discussed in the earlier slides, that unlike in case of goods where you can physically establish when the goods have been delivered, in case of services, it's important to get a completion certificate from the customer, specifically in the context of construction industry, architect services, or anything where there are different milestones defined under the contract. So in such a scenario, we have prepared a quick snapshot that if the certification of the work is completed before implementation of VAT, basically the customer is certifying that this value of services is already completed and accepted by me prior to 15th of April, even in that case, if you're doing the invoicing and the payment is coming after 15th, there is no VAT because supply has already been completed or delivered to the customer prior to implementation of VAT. If the payment is received before VAT, but the certification work is completed after 15th of April, the VAT would be applicable. And in this scenario, we have to be very cautious of the fact that whatever advance payment we have received prior to implementation of VAT, that entire advance payment would be subject to 5% VAT in the first quarter itself when the VAT is being implemented. In case you have already payment is received prior to implementation of VAT and the part of the work is certified, only portion of the work is certified and part of the work is certified after 15th of April. So in such cases, because it's a continuous supply, we have to basically split that portion of the work which is already certified and completed prior to 15th of April, there is no VAT. And whatever is the value or component of work certified after 15th of April, there would be a VAT applicable on that transaction. Another subset can be that if the part of the work is certified prior to implementation of VAT, but the invoicing or the payment received or some portion of the work is certified after implementation of VAT. So again, as I mentioned, that invoicing and payment is not relevant at all. Whatever is the portion of the work which is certified after implementation of VAT, the VAT of 5% would be applicable on that transaction. Now moving ahead to the next important concept under the transitional provision relating to adjustment which are being made in any business transaction. Now in many business cases, it may happen that you have supplied the goods to the customer prior to implementation of VAT. The supply has already been completed prior to implementation of VAT, but subsequently you have granted some discount to the customer or lump sum discount granted in the month of April or in the month of May when the VAT has already been introduced. Similarly, there is an additional consideration which you have paid or recovered from your customer after 16th of April. Or it may also happen that you already supplied the goods prior to implementation of VAT, but the return of goods on account of quality issues, damage, or any other reason, the goods are being returned by the customer after 16th of April. So in such cases, because the return is happening after 16th of April, it falls under the ambit of transitional transaction. Now we'll discuss what would be the VAT implications on such transitional issues from the perspective of making an appropriate adjustments. Now, in such cases, we know that whenever there is any kind of discount which is being extended, or there is a return of goods which is happening on account of any reason, there is an obligation to issue a credit note. Or in case you are receiving any additional payment from the customer, you have to collect or issue a debit note to the customer. So you can always go ahead and issue a credit note or a debit note to reflect these kind of adjustment. Now, the next important aspect, and this is most important, in this case, the original supply of goods, that is the initial supply when the goods or services are being delivered, that event happened prior to implementation of VAT. So since the delivery of the goods and services were made prior to implementation of VAT, the same concept which we discussed in preceding slides, as the delivery is made prior to 16th of April, on the original supply, we would have not charged any VAT from the customer on the original supply of those goods. So subsequently, adjustment shall have an identical tax treatment to the original supply. So this is the whole crux of the principle which has to be applied for making any kind of an adjustment. We all know that these kind of adjustments like discounts, goods return is the extension of the original supply. So whatever is the tax treatment of the original supply, the same tax treatment would be offered to these adjustments. What do I mean by this thing is, just to simplify, that if on the original supply of those goods and services, a VAT was applicable, then on these adjustments also a VAT adjustment would be required. But if on the original supply of goods and services, if there was no VAT, because the goods and services were delivered prior to 16th of April, then on these adjustment also, there is no requirement to make any adjustment from a VAT standpoint. So the tax treatment would be same for the adjustment, whatever tax treatment that has been done for the original supply of goods and services, the same tax treatment has to be applied for making any kind of adjustment under the VAT legislation. Now, in this scenario, because the original supply of goods and services were made prior to 16th of April 2021, but the credit note and debit note are issued subsequently. So, because on the original supply there was no VAT as the delivery happened prior to 16th of April. Similarly, in this case also, when I issue the credit note or debit note to the customer, I do not have to make any adjustment of VAT on that debit note and credit note, because the tax treatment of debit note and credit note is same as the tax treatment which I have offered while issuing the invoice for the original supply of goods as well as services. Now we have taken a simple illustration. Now suppose I have taken a person who is engaged into a business of electronic goods. The taxable person basically sells a shipment of 10 television to a retail store. He's a big distributor. He has sent a shipment of 10 television on March 2021 without any VAT. Why without any VAT? Because the supply of goods or the delivery of goods to the retail store is happening prior to 16th of April, because this event happened in March when the VAT was not introduced. Therefore, on the sale of these 10 television sets, no VAT was applied on the invoice. Now, subsequently, the retail stores found out that out of those 10 televisions, 3 television sets were faulty or there was some damage on those sets, and he returned those television sets to the taxable person on 18th of April. Now on 16th of April, the VAT has already been implemented, and that return is being made after implementation of VAT. Now on 22nd of April, the taxable person or the supplier issues a credit note for the 3 television sets which have been returned by the retail store. Now in this case, although the credit note which has been issued by the taxable supplier is after implementation of VAT, because the credit note is issued on 22nd of April, but on that credit note, there would not be any requirement to make the VAT adjustment because of the fact that on the original supply of 10 television sets, no VAT was applicable. So adjustment always follow the same tax treatment of the original supply. If in the original supply, no VAT was charged, on the adjustment, no VAT can be adjusted in the credit note or the debit note. Now, next important aspect under the transitional issues is basically the treatment of stock in hand. Now, it may happen that when the VAT is being implemented, there is certain stock of goods which are lying in the premises of the businesses. Now, it may be if certain businesses, for them, the VAT may be implemented from 16th of April. And if your turnover is less than 1 million, you probably would be falling under the VAT regime from 1st of October. Or you may be falling under the VAT regime from next financial year. So depending upon the time when you are obtaining the VAT registration, the taxability of stock in hand has to be determined. Here again, we have to keep a very important fundamental concept in mind that from a VAT standpoint, the taxable event is always the supply of goods and services. So whatever is the stock of goods which are lying in the business premises prior to the implementation of VAT, on the entire stock of goods, VAT is not applicable. VAT would only be applicable on that stock of goods which is being sold or delivered to a customer after implementation, that is on and after 16th of April. So the same concept, if the delivery of the goods, whatever is the stock of goods which is delivered on and after 16th of April, VAT would be applicable, and VAT would not be applicable on the entire stock of goods. As and when the stock is sold, only on that stock which is being sold, a VAT has to be applied by the supplier of those goods as well as services. So we have taken an example that in the same example which we discussed in the preceding slide, there is a taxable supplier or a wholesale distributor who has purchased 15 television sets during the pre-VAT regime, that is before 16th of April. Now we all know that if he has purchased those goods prior to 16th of April, when the VAT was not there. So on the purchase of those goods, he would have not paid any VAT because the delivery happened prior to implementation of VAT. Now, on that stock of 15 goods, 15 television sets which are lying in the stock, he made a sale of 10 television sets to a retail store in May 2021. So in May 2021, that is after introduction of VAT, he sold 10 television sets to the retail store. Now, in such a scenario, we have to know that applying the same concept, the television sets on the purchases, there was no VAT because the event happened prior to implementation of VAT. But as and when he's making a sale of those 10 television sets, and because that event of sale of goods and delivery is happening on and after 16th of April, on sale of that 10 television sets, the supplier has to charge a 5% VAT when making a sale to that retail stores. So in case of stock in hand, the concept to summarize, VAT not applicable on the entire stock of goods in hand on the introduction of VAT. VAT is only applicable on that stock of goods which is sold after implementation of VAT. This is the whole concept of stock in hand goods. So these were the transactions and the applicability of VAT on these transitional transactions. Now moving ahead to the next important aspect under the transitional provisions relating to the contracts with the customer. Now contracts play a very important role specifically for transitional transaction. Why it is important? Because we all know that we have different kind of contracts both with the customers as well as the vendor. It may be a contract or it may be a purchase order. In certain cases, we will not be having kind of a formal contract with the customer. It may be a purchase order. So in purchase order, typically when I get from the customer, that purchase order has various elements. What is the price of the goods? What is the quantity he requires? What would be the date of delivery? And most importantly, what is the net amount which would be paid by the customer to the supplier? One very important aspect which we all should know, that under the purchase order, typically the customer also mentions the fact that whether this price is including the VAT or the price is excluding the VAT. Now in this case, there can be different scenarios. Now suppose in the contract or the purchase order, amount specifically mentions that the amount is excluding VAT. Now if I take an example, you got a purchase order from the customer, it says the value of the goods to be supplied is RO 1000 excluding VAT. Now if the contract or the purchase order specifically mentions this aspect that the contract is excluding VAT, then as a supplier, I have the right to recover the 5% VAT from the customer because the price which is agreed in the contract or the purchase order is excluding the VAT. So as a supplier, I have the right to recover VAT over and above the value of the goods and services. Now in such case, it is important because it may happen that in transitional transactions, the purchase order may have been issued prior to 16th of April. At that point in time, the VAT was not there. So it becomes important to understand and analyze that whether in all such contracts in the purchase order, whether it mentions it's inclusive of tax or excluding the tax. Now in second situation, suppose if you have a contract or purchase order from the customer and it says that this is the price OMR 1000 for supply of goods and services and the price is including all taxes. The customer would not make any payment over and above 1000 RO. So in such a scenario, there is a problem in the hands of the supplier because the law specifically mentions that if your contract with the customer is including all taxes, the contract specifically mentions or the purchase order specifically mentions that the price agreed with the customer is including all taxes. So in such cases, because of the fact that the customer would not make any other payment over and above 1000, the liability to pay VAT would get shifted to the supplier of those goods and services. So 1000 RO price, if the contract is including, that 1000 would be considered as inclusive of VAT. So the supplier has to raise an invoice of suppose 950 plus 50. And based on that, that 50 has to be deposited with the government. So it has to be very cautious that in case the contract which you've signed with the customer is including of all taxes, then that 5% VAT has to be borne by the supplier. It is a direct hit or a cost in the hands of the supplier of those goods and services. Similarly, in case your contract or purchase order does not have any tax clause at all, it's completely silent. When you get a purchase order from the customer, suppose in the month of March, at that point in time, there was no VAT in place. So the purchase order simply says you have to supply goods for RO 1000. It does not mention whether it is including tax or excluding tax. So in such a scenario, again, there is a problem in the hands of the supplier, because if the contract is silent or the contract does not have any tax clause, then it is assumed, or from a legal standpoint, it is deemed that the contract price is including all taxes. So here also the supplier would have to pay that 5% VAT from his own pocket, because the customer has agreed to make a payment of only RO 1000, and no other payment would be made over and above 1000 RO. So again, it's a problem from the supplier standpoint. So we have to ensure that in all contracts, all purchase order which we are getting from the customer, in all such purchase order, it is specifically mentioned that it is excluding VAT. In any purchase order which we are getting, new contracts, new bids. So first of all, the contracts is very important, or the purchase order very important, both in respect of existing contracts or existing purchase orders which you have already received from your customer prior to implementation of VAT, where you are expecting that delivery may happen after implementation, and even from the perspective of new contracts or the new purchase orders which you are getting from the customer after implementation of VAT. So what are the key points which you need to keep in mind as a business is that, first of all, we have to evaluate whether such purchase order which we have received from the customer has a tax clause or not. The purchase order whether should specifically mention that the price agreed with the customer is inclusive of tax or exclusive of tax. That's the first important. Now, first clause, that tax clause should have provides a right to the supplier to recover the VAT. It should not simply say that it's VAT as applicable. It should clearly mention that as a supplier, I have the right to recover the 5% VAT separately from the customer to avoid any kind of dispute, any kind of ambiguity at a later stage. In case there is no tax clause in the contract or the purchase order, we should immediately approach the customer and try to sign some kind of an addendum or get a revised purchase order to specifically mention the aspect that the price agreed is exclusive of VAT. In case there is no such tax clause in the contract, then as I mentioned in the preceding slide, the contract would be considered as inclusive of VAT. So it would result into an enhanced cost in the hands of the supplier, because the customer is not going to pay anything additional. Whatever amount you have agreed with the customer, in absence of a tax clause, you have to bear that 5% VAT liability. From the vendor contract standpoint, if you have a large vendor which is supplying goods and services throughout the year, ensure that in those vendor contracts also, you include a specific clause that all liability to pay VAT is in hands of the supplier or the vendor. And tomorrow, in case there is any fault in the hands of the vendor, then as a recipient of those goods, I should not be made liable. Second, another obligation which can be cast on the hands of the vendor is that he will issue a proper tax invoice clearly mentioning the VAT component in light of the requirement under the Oman VAT legislation, because as I mentioned, that getting a proper tax invoice from the vendor is like a hard cash for the businesses. Only if you get a proper tax invoice from the vendor, you can claim the credit of the 5% VAT which is being charged. So modifications are required both in the vendor contracts, vendor purchase orders, as well as the customer contracts and the purchase order to specifically include a tax clause in the contract and giving you a right to recover the 5% VAT if the goods and services are getting delivered after implementation of VAT. Now, these are some of the sample contracts, clauses in the contract which you can consider including. will anyway be circulating this presentation. It would be there on the website of Zubair SEC. So there also you can access that these are some of the illustrative or the sample clauses which you can incorporate in your existing customer contracts, in the purchase order which you're getting from the customer. And in case you've already signed a purchase order or already signed a contract with the customer, you can approach the customer and sign an addendum to that contract and include these clauses in the contract. Again, the objective of making these kind of amendment in the contract and including these clauses in the contract is to ensure that your right is protected as a supplier to receive the 5% VAT from the customer. And tomorrow, there is no dispute or any kind of litigation with the customer that if he refuses to pay to you the 5% VAT, in absence of the fact that the contract does not have any specific clauses. So these are some of the sample customer clauses which can be incorporated in your contract with the customer, both existing as well as the proposed contract. Similarly, in case with your customer contract, as I mentioned, in cases of vendor contracts also, these kind of clauses can be incorporated, and these are more relevant specifically in case of those transactions wherein you have already delivered portion of the goods and services prior to implementation of VAT, and some portion of goods and services are delivered post implementation of VAT. So your contract should specifically mention the fact that you would be recovering the 5% VAT on that portion of the activity which is completed or delivered on and after 16th of April. Again, the objective is to protect the right of the supplier and giving him the right to recover the 5% VAT on any supply of goods or any portion of the supply of goods and services which are being made after implementation of VAT. From the vendor contract standpoint, as I mentioned, that we need to specifically agree that all liabilities from a VAT standpoint is on the vendor or on the supplier. In case the vendor makes any kind of default in depositing the tax with the government, or on account of any issuance of wrong invoices, or on account of any other reason, if as a supplier I have paid a VAT to the vendor on the procurement of goods and services and there is a fault at the end of the vendor, then probably you should have a clause in the contract with the vendor that on account of any non-compliance or default from the vendor standpoint, the vendor has to reimburse all the losses, penalties, and damages if there is any to the supplier. And therefore, the objective is that as a recipient, I should not be made liable for any kind of default which has been committed from the vendor side. Similarly, in the change in law contract should be there, which says that at a later point in time, if the VAT is being implemented, you should have the right to recover the VAT. So all these are very illustrative clauses. You can modify these clauses based on your legal requirement, based on your existing contract with the customer. These can be modified, but these are just illustrative clauses which as a businesses, we should incorporate all in our vendor as well as the customer contract, both existing as well as the proposed contract which you're going to sign after implementation of VAT. Now, what are the key action steps from a VAT standpoint, which has to be considered specifically in case of an ongoing contracts? So intimate the customer. In case you have already signed a contract with the customer prior to implementation of VAT, it is very important to initiate a dialogue or discussion with the customer, and you should send an appropriate intimation letter to your customer that whatever are the existing orders which you have issued, whatever is the VAT, whatever is the portion of the goods and services which are delivered on and after implementation of VAT, a 5% VAT would be recovered from the customer. Similarly, in case you have received any kind of an advance payment from the customer on prior to implementation of VAT, but on that advance payment, the delivery of the goods and services is being made after implementation of VAT, that entire advance payment would also be subject to 5% VAT. So we have to be cautious of the fact that whenever we are taking a VAT registration or moving to the VAT regime, at that point in time, whatever is the advance payment standing in my books of accounts or in my financials pertaining to a transaction where the delivery of the goods and services are being made after implementation of VAT, on that entire advance payment, I have to pay a 5% VAT. In the first quarter itself, when the VAT registration has been taken from the tax authorities. Advance point, which we discussed, that in case you have received any advance payment prior to implementation of VAT, but if the goods and services are delivered, VAT has to be paid on that advance payment and also be required to be disclosed in the first VAT return, which are required to file with the tax authorities. Now, in case you have already delivered the goods and services to the customer prior to 16th of April or the date whenever the VAT is being implemented, depending upon the relevant phase or relevant category which you are getting classified, in case you have already delivered the goods and services prior to implementation of VAT. So in such cases, please ensure and to protect your interests, because tomorrow at the time of audit or assessment, the authorities are going to ask that why you have not paid VAT on these kind of transactions. So to safeguard your interest, these are some of the steps which can be taken by the businesses. First, in such cases, ensure or try, if possible, you raise all the invoices prior to 15th of April. All cases, mention that you raise the invoice and issue that invoice to the customer with the date prior to 16th of April. Services are completed and accepted before 15th of April, so you get a completion certificate from the customer, specifically in the context of services. You get a completion certificate from the customer that these value of services are already completed prior to 16th of April. In case of goods, you should take a proper acknowledgement or delivery receipt from the customer to establish the fact that the delivery of the goods has already been done prior to 16th of April 2021. In case you are raising the invoice on such transactions after 16th of April, definitely it's going to be questioned by the tax authorities because the date of invoice is after 16th of April. But in such a scenario, you should maintain and specifically mention on the invoice itself that this invoice is pertaining to a transaction wherein the goods and services are delivered prior to 16th of April. So wherever you are, even if you're raising the invoice after 16th of April, make sure that you have appropriate documentation and you place appropriate narration on the invoice to establish the fact that the delivery of the goods has been completed prior to 16th of April. And specifically for services, the completion certificate has already been obtained prior to 16th of April. Only then VAT would not be applicable. So these were some of the action steps from the VAT standpoint, specifically in the context of transitional transaction. Now we move toward the last section of our webinar, that what are the action steps which as a business to be undertaken for moving towards the VAT regime. Now in the first part of our webinar today, we discussed the transitional implications happening on the transitional transactions, how the contract clauses or the purchase orders which you get from the customer, even prior to implementation of VAT, how those contract clauses are important to safeguard the interest of the supplier. Now, in this section of the webinar, we are going to talk about what are the key action steps for the businesses. It is a kind of a summary of all the earlier webinars which we have conducted relating to when we have to obtain the VAT registration, when we have to charge tax, what are the changes which are required to be made in the IT system, and similarly, from an input tax credit standpoint, what are the documentation for import of goods and services if you're making, what are the key action steps, and in other aspects in terms of what are the documents and records which have to be maintained by the businesses from a VAT snapshot. So it is a kind of a quick summary of the earlier webinars, summarizing the key action steps for the businesses. Now, first and the most important, obtaining the VAT registration. Now, we have discussed in the earlier webinars for any company or businesses in the SME segment, the first step or the first gateway for the VAT registration, VAT regime is the obtaining the VAT registration. So it's important as a first step, I obtain the registration in a timely manner so that there is no default at a later point in time, levy of penalties. For determining at what point in time I have to obtain the VAT registration, this is the mandatory registration criteria. As a business, I have to ascertain what are the value of the supplies in the last 12 months, which I have undertaken, and in the subsequent 11 months. So both previous 11 months as well as the subsequent 11 months. For the entire financial year, we have to compute that whether my turnover is more than 38,500, whether it is more than 500,000, depending upon the different slabs. Once we arrive that during that time limit, that is preceding 11 months plus the current financial year and the subsequent 11 months, during that period, if the turnover is more than the prescribed limit in that phase, there is a requirement to obtain the mandatory registration. Another important aspect which we need to keep in mind from a VAT registration standpoint is in case your turnover is not falling in the relevant slab, then also the legislation provides an option to the businesses to obtain a voluntary registration, and the voluntary registration can be applied if your supplies is more than 19,250 or even your expenses is more than 19,250 RO. If this is the value, if it is more than 19,250 in the entire financial year, both preceding as well as succeeding, you can apply for a voluntary registration from the tax authorities. And there are a lot of advantages for obtaining the VAT registration because it would entitle you to claim the credit of the VAT which you have paid on procurement of goods and services. And to determine the taxable quantum, we have to include whatever is the supply of goods and services which you have made in Oman. It may be taxable at 5%, it may be taxable at 0%. So both 5% as well as 0% has to be included. And secondly, the import of goods and services also has to be included to determine this threshold. The only exclusion which is there under the law is the value of exempt supplies like dividend, interest income, any salary payments. So all those would be excluded, but balance the entire turnover of the company, whether it is 5%, 0%, plus the import of goods and services. Both have to be included for determining the taxable supply value. And once that value falls under the relevant slab, we have to immediately apply for the VAT registration to avoid any penalties from the tax authorities. The next important aspect in the second webinar, we discussed about the charging of the VAT. So we know that there are different kinds of transactions which are taxable at different rate. In that session, we discussed that what are transactions subject to 0%, what are exempt. So depending upon your business and depending upon the nature of the goods which we supply to our customer, first of all, once we obtain the VAT registration, we have to determine what transactions are subject to which rate of tax. Because unless we are able to determine and analyze, we'll not be able to raise the proper invoice to the customer. So first step, determine what transactions are taxable at which rate of tax. Tax invoice is a very important document. So we have to ensure that once we obtain the VAT registration, a tax invoice has to be mandatorily issued to all the customers. It's not an option. You might be already issuing an invoice to the customer, but from a VAT standpoint, the invoice has to contain specified contents. It has to be issued in a specified format. And it should specifically display that it is a tax invoice. So make sure any supply of goods, whether it is 5%, 0%, or it is an exempt transaction, for any kind of supply, a tax invoice is mandatorily issued to the customer once you obtain the VAT registration or from the effective date when the registration becomes effective as mentioned in your VAT registration certificate. There are penalties under the law in case you do not issue the tax invoice to the customer or in case the tax invoice is not in a prescribed format as per the requirement of the VAT legislation. Issuance of tax invoice at the time of advance receipt, a very important aspect which we discussed, that as per the date of supply principles, the VAT is applicable even on advance payment. So make sure that as soon as you get any advance payment from the customer, you not only have to pay a 5% VAT or applicable VAT, you also have to issue a tax invoice to the customer for that advance payment. Again, a very important action step for the businesses, specifically in the context of advance payments. Issuance of tax credit note for making an adjustment. So make sure that whenever you are giving any kind of a discount which can be linked to the invoice, any kind of sales return of goods, in all those cases, you might be issuing a credit note to your customer. But again, similar to tax invoice, you also have to make changes in the content of the credit note. And the credit note also has to be issued in a proper format. It has to specifically mention it's a tax credit note. And there are specific contents which have to be mentioned in the tax credit note. In the earlier webinars, we discussed and also shared a sample format. How does the tax invoice should look like? How does the tax credit note should look like? So make sure that if you're making these kind of adjustments, you issue the credit note to the customer as to the requirement of the VAT law. In case the tax credit note is not in the specific format, there can be a situation where your adjustment of VAT can be denied by the tax authorities, resulting into a direct financial implication on the businesses. Next important action step for the business is the IT and the accounting system. IT accounting system plays a very important role in the system VAT implementation, because we know as we move towards and move ahead in this VAT journey, we have to file returns on a periodical basis. There would be a lot of compliances, there would be assessments, there would be audits which would be happening. And at that point in time, as a business, it would be very difficult to maintain any kind of records in a manual shape. So there has to be an IT system in place, and that IT system should be configured as per the requirement of the VAT. Appropriate codes have to be created, GLs have to be created in the system so that you get automated reports from the system to meet the requirement from a VAT standpoint. Now, first of all, what are the key changes which are required in the IT system? And even from an accounting standpoint, that once we have identified that what are the different taxes which are applicable on our transactions, that this transaction is subject to 5%, this is subject to 0%, a complete mapping of our business transactions has been undertaken. We replicate that mapping in the VAT system. So that whenever you raise an invoice, automatically at the time of raising the invoice, the VAT amount should be calculated automatically by the IT system, depending upon the nature of that transaction or depending upon the nature of those goods and services. So you have to inbuild that rule engine in the IT system so that it automatically picks up the correct rate of tax while raising the invoice. Similarly, there has to be separate ledgers in the system for accounting of output tax. Output tax, again, it has to be split into import of goods and services, RCM, and even from an input tax standpoint, it has to be separately accounted that what is RCM, what is local purchase, what is non-creditable taxes. So recently, the government has released the format in which the VAT return has to be filed by the businesses. And very important aspect for the businesses is that all the purchases of the businesses, all local purchases, whether it is creditable, whether it is non-creditable, whether it is for 0%, entire purchases have to be reported in the VAT return. So you can imagine that while filing the VAT return, your IT system should have the capability to segregate or bifurcate that these are the total purchases. Out of these purchases, these are creditable, these are non-creditable, and what are the other purchases. If you have this kind of capability in the IT system, then only it would be easy for you to file the VAT returns, because you can imagine that if you're doing all these activities manually, it would be very difficult to do these kind of segregations at the time of filing the VAT return. Next important aspect, the VAT invoice or the tax invoice, it's very important. So your IT system, you have to make appropriate changes in the format of the IT tax invoice, the tax credit note in the timely manner, so that you issue a proper tax invoice to your customer. As I mentioned, that there are penalties if you don't issue the invoice in a proper format, and in case there is any delay in filing of the VAT returns. So make sure that the IT system, in the IT system, you make the changes of the tax invoices, credit notes, formats, and in the accounting and the general ledgers as well. Similarly, for import of goods and services, we know we discussed in detail in the earlier webinars the concept of reverse charge mechanism. A very important action step for the businesses to identify that whatever goods they are importing from outside Oman, on all those goods and services, they have to pay a VAT, and they have to have a separate accounting ledger or accounting code in the system to record the liability to pay VAT on those important goods separately. Again, coming back to the same point that in the format of the VAT return, we have to separately report both goods and services separately. So in their IT and accounting system, there have to be different code, not only for reverse charge transaction, but within reverse charge transaction, there has to be subcategories for import of goods and separately for import of services. So IT and accounting system plays a very important role, and these are some of the key action steps which businesses should keep in mind, or they need to immediately initiate in case they are planning to obtain the VAT registration and shift to a VAT regime. Input tax credit, again, a very important aspect. A quick summary that what from an input tax standpoint, what key action steps are there from the business standpoint. First of all, we have to ensure that we send appropriate communication or letters to all our vendors intimating about our VAT registration number. Why it is important? Because in case you don't intimate your VAT registration number to your vendors, tomorrow when you get the invoices, tax invoices from your vendors, those tax invoices may not have your VAT registration number. So one of the key requirement under the VAT legislation is that the tax invoice should have the VAT registration number, both of the supplier and the customer. So if you don't give your VAT registration number to all your vendors, they would not be in a position to mention that number in the tax invoice. And if there is no VAT registration number mentioned on the tax invoice, at a later stage, you would have challenges and issues in claiming the input tax credit. Ensure that all invoices which you are getting from the vendors are proper tax invoices. We have seen many instances in other GCC countries and even in Oman, whoever has obtained the VAT registration from 16th of April, in many cases, the vendors are still not issuing proper tax invoices. Some contents are missing. On the face of the invoice, they are not mentioning a tax invoice. The address is not correct. They're just simply mentioning the name. Or in certain cases, they're just simply mentioning the trade name, not the complete name of the businesses. So make sure that you have a process in place to ensure that you get a proper tax invoice from the vendor, wherein the 5% VAT has been charged, because we have seen instances from a practical standpoint that during the course of an assessment or during the course of an audit, the authorities clearly deny the input tax credit if the invoice is not in a proper format. So make sure that you only get a proper tax invoice, and in case the invoice is not proper, you send back those invoices to the vendor and ask for a proper tax invoice. One of the control point which the businesses can do is that they can hold the payment of the vendor unless they give you a proper tax invoice. We know that in case we are not able to get the invoice right now, and if you have made the payment, tomorrow after 6 years or after 1 year down the line, the vendor would not make any changes. If you approach him, he'll be least concerned because he's already got the payment. So make sure that the payment is only processed to the vendor only once you get a proper tax invoice from those vendors, so as to ensure that there is no challenges in availment of input tax credit. Instruction should be issued to all employees. So in case you have any sales and marketing team, any people who are traveling across Oman, and in case they are incurring any kind of business expenses for which they claim a reimbursement, you should have an appropriate mechanism to give instruction to all the employees that whenever any expenditure is incurred, the invoices should be obtained in the name of the company or in the businesses, because one of the key requirements for claiming the credit is the invoices should be in the name of the company. If the invoices are in the name of the employees, like a telephone bill, if he's taking the invoice in his own name, then input tax credit cannot be claimed by the company or the business. A running ITC ledger should be maintained that for each quarter, because we know that we have to file the VAT return on a quarterly basis. And similarly, we have to pay the VAT to the tax authorities on a quarterly basis. So we have to have a proper running ledger for each quarter, that what is the opening balance of the credit, what is the total value of purchases which I made in this quarter, what is the credits we have already availed in this period, and what is the closing balance of the credit which is carried forward to the next tax period. So ITC ledger is very important because it gives you a complete idea that what is the quantum of credits which are availed in each period, so that there are no challenges at a later point in time if the credit is questioned by the tax authorities. Now, tax payment and returns from a compliance standpoint, we know that every taxable person, once you obtain the VAT registration under the Oman VAT legislation, we have to compute and deposit the tax liability, and also we have to file periodical VAT return with the tax authorities. So both these compliances are very important, and specifically in the context that there are stringent penalties for non-filing of VAT returns, non-payment of VAT, and the penalties are so stringent that in certain cases there is an imprisonment. So we have to be very cautious and take it seriously that we first of all, compute and deposit the taxes in a timely manner. And secondly, we file the VAT return in a correct manner, disclosing all the details of sales and purchases and whatever the credits which we have taken. There are no errors in these returns to avoid any kind of penalties at a later stage. In times of the time period for doing these kind of compliances, in all cases, once you obtain the VAT registration, the compliances have to be made on a quarterly basis. So for the first quarter, if I take an example, from 16th April till 30th of June, that's the first quarter for which the tax payment and the VAT return has to be undertaken by 30th of July. So 30th of the next month, following the end of the relevant quarter, the VAT compliance, both payment of the VAT as well as the filing of VAT return has to be undertaken. Both compliances are very important. For each quarter, the next quarter, that is for the period 1st July till 30th of September, the compliance has to be made by 30th of October, both payment of tax as well as the returns. So similarly, under VAT, the quarter which is being followed is Jan to March, April to June, July to September, and October to December. So these are the 4 quarters, and 30 days from the end of the quarter, appropriate compliances have to be made before the tax authorities. Now, in terms of maintenance of records, we know that we discussed in detail in the earlier webinar what are the records to be maintained, but a quick summary in terms of action steps for the businesses that we record all the taxable transactions in a sequential manner. A very important aspect that all the invoices which you are raising to your customer, it has to be sequentially numbered. In the VAT return guide, they have specifically mentioned the aspect that in case any invoice number is missing in the series, it can be questioned by the tax authorities. So make sure that you issue the invoices to the customer in a sequential manner, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It should not happen that you raise the invoice of invoice number 1. Similarly, in the second invoice, the invoice number is coming as 5. So 2 to 4 should not be missing. It should be issued in a sequential manner to establish the accuracy of your records and avoid any kind of challenges during the course of an audit or assessment. Separate accounts has to be maintained, as we discussed, that in the VAT returns, we have to separately disclose what is the value of supply, which are subject to 5%, 0% and exempt. So in the IT and accounting system, and even from an accounting standpoint, you maintain separate records or ledgers for each of these transactions because these have to be separately reported in the VAT return. Inventory records, very important, have to be maintained, that what is the closing stock after the end of each quarter, what is the stock which is being received in that quarter. The objective is that tomorrow, if the authorities are coming for any kind of an inspection and audit, they can physically check the inventory records with your VAT return or the books of accounts. So make sure that you have proper inventory records in place, specifically from a VAT standpoint, and those inventory records should ideally mirror whatever transactions you are reflecting in the VAT return to avoid any kind of disputes with the tax authorities. Records and documents, specifically in case you are importing any goods or exporting any goods to country outside Oman, or any kind of intra-group supplies. So any supplies you're making to any group company, related parties, for all these transactions, appropriate records have to be maintained, specifically in the context of import of goods and export of goods. You have to maintain custom documentation like bill of lading, bill of entry, custom exit certificate. So all the documents which clearly establish that the goods have physically left Oman, gone to a country outside Oman, all those documents have to be retained in a proper manner because these would be required during the course of an assessment and audit. Very important aspect which we need to keep in mind, that as per the VAT legislation requirement, the records are required to be maintained for a period of 10 years for the businesses. So this is a very substantial time limit. It indicates that within a period of 10 years, the authorities can ask for any kind of these records and documentation. So we need to have appropriate customs process and systems in place to ensure that if after 5 years or 7 years down the line, authorities ask for any documentation, we are in a position to submit these kind of documents to the tax authorities. All documenting, evidencing taxable supply at zero rate. So we know that as a matter of common practice, specifically those transactions wherein a VAT is not being paid or a zero rate benefit is being claimed, those are more prone to being examined by the tax authorities in detail. So if you are claiming any zero rate benefit, not paying any VAT, those transactions, we have to specifically be conscious of the fact that we have appropriate documentation in place, appropriate underlying documents to establish that it is an export of goods or why you are claiming the benefit of X zero rated. All those underlying documents should be in place to establish the claim of 0%. We have to be mindful of the fact that in case these documents are not in place, tomorrow, if you're not able to file with the authorities, the authority will simply apply a 5% VAT on these transactions along with applicable penalties. So very important that for 0%, specifically consider that you have appropriate contracts, documents, custom record in place to establish that claim for 0% category. All tax invoices, credit notes, debit notes have to be maintained. Whatever you are issuing to the customer or you're receiving from your vendor, both have to be maintained to determine the credits as well as your output tax liability. So maintenance of tax invoices are very important. So these were from the documentation standpoint. Now, in terms of import of goods and services, we know that in case you are making any payment to any overseas vendor for any import of goods or any import of services, that is subject to reverse charge mechanism. So we have to track that in case any payment is made to any company, related party outside Oman, you have to compute a 5% VAT and deposit to the tax authorities. So be cautious of the fact, specifically in case of any payments to overseas vendor. In case of import of goods, we know that like customs duty, VAT has to be paid at the customs border. So at that point in time, VAT has to be paid on the landed value of the goods, that is the CIF value, plus the customs duty and excise tax if you are paying anything. So customs duty and excise tax are also included while determining the base for levy of VAT. So make sure that while computing the VAT for any import of goods and services, you appropriately take into account these duties and taxes, and on the total value, the VAT liability is being discharged. We also discussed that in the VAT returns, we have to disclose the reverse charge transactions separately, and more importantly, it has to be disclosed separately for reverse charge goods as well as reverse charge services separately. So make sure that you have separate accounting codes, separate ledger for goods and services separately for imported transactions. Now, in change of contract, we discussed in today's webinar itself that first of all, we need to ensure that all the existing contracts which we have with our customer, those should have appropriate tax clauses in the contract. If the tax clauses or contracts are not there, we should immediately initiate a dialogue with the customer and make an amendment through an addendum in the contract and specifically include a tax clause. It's applicable both for existing contracts as well as for any new contracts or bids which you're signing with the new customers. So in case the clauses are not there, sign an addendum or include these clauses in the contract if you're signing a new contract. We've already discussed some of the sample clauses which can be included, because of the fact that if you don't include these kind of clauses in the contract, tomorrow this 5% VAT would be a direct hit on the supplier, or it would be a direct cost on the businesses, because you would not have the right to recover the 5% VAT separately from your customer. So very important from the contract clauses standpoint. Quickly, last slide, in terms of other key aspects and action steps for the businesses, that in case you have any senior management like directors, senior management in the organization, you should apprise them that if they are having any revenue, getting any kind of a setting fee or a director service fee from the company, those directors have to obtain a VAT registration in their individual capacity. And if that director or a senior management is located outside Oman, probably the company or the business has to pay VAT under the reverse charge mechanism. So you have to send appropriate communication to those senior management that they have to take a VAT registration in their individual capacity in case they have this kind of a revenue exceeding the mandatory threshold limit. Letters have to be sent to all customers asking for their VAT registration number and incorporating the same. Similarly, as we discussed, that we have to communicate the VAT registration number to our vendors so as to ensure that we get a proper invoice. Similarly, from a customer standpoint also, we should ask the customer to give their VAT registration number so that tomorrow, when we are raising the invoices to the customer, we also correctly mention the VAT registration number of the customer, and from the customer does not have any kind of challenges in getting a input tax credit. VAT registration certificate has to be displayed at every location of the activity. Very important aspect, if you have multiple warehouses, different branches in Oman, the VAT registration certificate has to be clearly displayed. A copy of the registration certificate has to be clearly displayed at each and every place of business. There are penalties if you don't undertake this kind of a compliance. So make sure if you have multiple places, the registration certificate is duly displayed at each such place of business in Oman. Deduction from the salary of the employees, we discussed in the chargeability section in the webinar relating to the applicability of VAT on different transactions, that in case you are recovering any amount from your employees, like for the telephone bills, for the medical insurance of their dependents, family members, in case any deductions is being made from the salary, as a business, we have to pay VAT on that deduction and issue a tax invoice. So this compliance is very important as an action step. Make sure that if you are making any deduction, appropriate VAT is being paid on that deduction component. Next important fact, that once you've obtained the VAT registration, and in case there are any changes in your VAT registration, like the place of business is being changed, the directors have been changed, or the responsible person has changed, any kind of changes in that registration certificate, you have to intimate to the tax authorities within the period of 30 days. So again, there are stringent penalties if you don't do this compliance. So an action step for the business, in case there are any changes in the place of business or any other aspect related to the business, appropriate intimation is filed to the tax authorities immediately within a period of 30 days. So this is it from our end. Again, as we discussed that in today's webinar, we quickly discussed that what are the key action steps in additional transactions, how does the play a very important role. And second section, we also discuss that from a VAT standpoint, what are the action steps for the businesses which should be kept in mind while moving towards the VAT regime. So now we open the session for question and answer. In case you have any specific questions, you can raise it. But thank you everyone for your presence and having a patient audience during this webinar. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Ankur.
Thanks.
I think Gajendra also is here already. He has answered one question in the chat. I don't see any other question in the chat, right?
Yeah, there is no other question, Ali, in the chat, but anybody, if you have any question, then you can type it in the chat box, or alternatively, you can raise your hand virtually. Okay, in front of you in the dashboard, you will find an option of raising hand. So once you raise your hand, we will ask you to unmute yourself, and then you can proceed to ask your question. We'll be happy to answer. So first of all, we are going to take up the questions of people who are going to raise their hands virtually. After that, and also side by side, we'll reply to the questions that are there in the chat box.
Exactly. Okay. So does that mean everyone is feeling very comfortable with the tax now? Okay.
There is one question that has come in the chat box regarding manager director VAT registration. So, Georges, what we mean by manager director registration is that, let's say there is a business and then there are directors. Now, the business pays a lot of setting fee, etc., to the directors. This is income of the directors. So the directors may be earning the setting fee, and they may also be earning, let's say, rental from the commercial properties they own. So what directors need to do is that they need to assess their individual capacity. Business is a separate entity. Business is a separate person from VAT point of view. Individuals are separate persons. So all the individuals who are earning income from business, they need to assess whether they are required to take registration in their individual capacity. This is what many businesses or the owners miss out, because all the incorporated entities like limited liability partnerships, etc., are different than the owner promoters in such cases. So businesses, they think that they are same as business, and if business is registered, they are also registered, but that may not be the case. Therefore, to reiterate, each and every individual should assess whether he or she is liable to take registration in his or her personal capacity, depending on the kind of income revenue that they have. And if required, they should proceed for individual registration. And then once they take the registration, they will have to raise invoices. Whatever VAT is charged, business might be able to take the credit. It may not be a cost for the business. But what we are trying to highlight is the importance of taking registration in individual capacity. Okay, Daniel has raised this question. What is the implication of VAT in retention invoice? So, Mr. Daniel, normally in case of retention invoice, you need to see whether the service is complete. Retention is just a payment milestone. So let's say I completed a project in March 2021 and there is a retention. But retention is the name given, but it is essentially a payment milestone that some of the payment, let's say 10% will be made after 6 months, 1 year. In such cases, because the activity got completed, there won't be any VAT. However, if you need to do some activity for getting this retention, then it will be assumed that the service is provided, activity is carried out in the VAT regime. And in such cases, you will have to charge VAT on retention. Now, this is the example of retention we are talking about pertaining to the transition issue. But going forward, let's say you complete a project in July, okay, in the month of July 2021, and there is a retention. So same thing logic you will apply if retention is purely kind of, payment milestone, then, you don't bill for the retention, you bill for the retention whenever it is due, and you don't need to then, pay VAT on that amount. But if you need to do some activity, then you have to do that activity and then only, VAT will be due. So what we mean to say is that there is no thumb rule that retention VAT will apply or will not apply. It depends on the nature of retention. So that is what you need to keep in mind in each and every case. I hope this clarifies your query. Next question, again from Mr. John, is ROP coming under tax liability? So there are two ways: ROP providing services and ROP receiving services and goods. Okay, when they provide services and goods, whatever is the commercial activity that they carry out, in case they provide. But normally ROP carries out sovereign functions, police and all sovereign functions. So on such charges, there is no VAT. But when we supply goods or services to ROP, yes, we have to charge VAT. There is no exemption to ROP as such. Okay. There is a question from, there is a mobile number and it's in Arabic. So Ali, or
yes,
can we have this? Yeah.
هل عقود شركات الاتصالات اللي
the communication company contracts that has been done a year ago include taxes? He's going to read again in English.
with the telecom companies that been signed 1 year before, this would include any VAT? Should include any VAT?
So there are two aspects to it. Now it depends on the contract whether you have included tax clause or not. If there is no tax clause, then the law says the consideration is inclusive of VAT. Okay, then you may not force the customer to pay tax over and above the agreed consideration if there is no tax clause. Okay, now that is one aspect. Second, you need to see whether tax is applicable or not, because it might have happened that all the services got completed, only the payment is due. In such cases, no tax will apply. And if no tax applies, then it becomes irrelevant sort of issue, who is going to pay tax. So step one, see whether tax is applicable or not. If the services are completed, no VAT will apply, and there is no question of who bearing the tax liability. If there is tax applicable because some of the services are provided in the VAT regime, then you need to check the contract clause. If the contract allows you to recover tax over and above, it is fine. You can recover over and above the consideration. But if the contract is silent, then contractually you may not recover. What we recommend is that you talk to your customer and try to convince him that, okay, let me charge VAT over and above, because it might happen that customer is able to take the credit. Normally in such cases, customers do agree to pay VAT over and above the contracted price if the contract is silent. So explore that opportunity. But if the customer still says that he'll not pay, then the problem will be there, because in such cases you will have to pay out of your pocket in that situation. Okay. So next question from Georges is, for example, CEO gets only a salary. Does he still need VAT registration? So better in such case, we always recommend that CEO should have a salary contract with the company, clearly saying that this kind of payment is in the nature of salary. And if you establish that contract and it is established that it is purely a salary, then there won't be any VAT on this salary. It will get excluded from the computation of revenue of that CEO, whether he's liable to take registration or not. There is no virtual hand raised, so we assume that there is no question by way of raising hand. And we believe that all the questions that have come in the chat box have been answered, I guess.
Yes, and maybe because also there was no like new topics today, or it was only like maybe wrapping up some, I mean, all the previous topics which already been explained, and question has been asked already around those topics. But still, they have a few minutes if anyone would like to raise any questions.
Particularly related to the transition issues that we covered today, apart from revisiting all the other important topics.
Okay. I will also, I mean, ask anyone in Arabic if you allow me, please. بالنسبة للي عنده أي سؤال.
Okay, if you have any questions, we do have time, let's say a few minutes here. You can benefit from it and explain any clarification you have before we close the session. So by chat or by raising your hand, and we will open the mic for you if you have any questions.
So we'll give them like 2-3 minutes. If no question, we will do the closing.
Right.
Okay. And we'll see you soon in Oman, everyone.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, we have a question in the chat.
So there is one question from Mr. Rizwan saying that we are running a floor meal and every month we issue free product to staff before VAT. Can we issue VAT invoices? So if free products are issued, then it's treated as deemed supply. So ideally you should raise deemed supply. For this deemed supply, you should raise tax invoice because employees are also treated as related parties. So on the market value, you need to raise VAT invoices in order to comply. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel, Mr. John, for participating very actively and being here, and for your kind feedback that has come in the chat box.
Okay, it's 4:45. So shall we, I mean, close? Or yeah. Okay, so I will a little bit talk in Arabic with our members. في النهاية أشكركم جميعا طبعا على اهتمامكم.
At the end, I'd like to thank you all for your interest, for your participation, right from the start up to the closing session today. As they say, we're gonna miss you really. We got used to you and this kind of session, and we're gonna miss you. And allow me, on your behalf, I would like to thank the More team for your effort and your patience for all the throughout the program. Again, we'd like to repeat the thanks to Tony for the interpretation behind the scene, and the Zubair team, all of them one by one, all of them have all their efforts and contribution for the success of this program, and especially our main strategic partner who is supporting the program Ominvest, and follow up on the Zubair accounts on social media or Zubair website, because there will be a launching for the booklet that we told you about, the booklet for the VAT that will really help you in as a reference for things that you may need concerning the VAT. In addition to the video clips that we'll be launching ourselves to simplify the information that has been covered throughout the 5 sessions. So wish you all, let's say, continuous success and continuous transformation to the tax regime and to comply with the laws, and wish you really easy transformation without any problems. And if you have any question or inquiry, we are available at the Zubair Center. You can communicate with us. Our numbers, you have our numbers with us, so you have address, and we will help you as much as possible. And thank you again, and we'll see you all, let's say, in good health. Jandra, Angkor, Nozer, everyone.
And hope see you soon, and see you back in Muscat very soon, safely. Yep. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
See you.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.